Mine in a second. I'm getting there.
What is up, everybody? Streaming live with BlockchainBrad and Tyler from Chico Crypto. What is up?
Hey guys! Great to be with you.
Great to be with you guys. I'm very excited. Neo's my baby. Neo's all of our babies, I think. So let's talk about Neo. Let's learn about the expansion of the ecosystem, and then let's talk about just blockchain in general.
Yeah, right. It's awesome to be with you as well, Randall, and obviously Tyler. Thanks for having us on. We appreciate it so much.
Dude, guys, thanks for hanging out. This is fun.
It's awesome.
What is up, everybody? Welcome. We're going to be talking about Neo today, talking about other stuff today, answering any questions you have.
Yeah, even Tyler, I was so impressed. He has a quiz going on. I watched him yesterday. It was really fun. I got to drop in and I had to leave quickly so I didn't get any answers away, but it was a really cool idea.
Thanks, I appreciate that. It worked out really well. Really well, actually.
You know, I think, Tyler, too, it's great that we're trying to provide some, easy ways to learn about blockchain, because that's the secret to power and money, is understanding exactly what's going on.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Yeah, you guys are like experts with blockchain research. So if you had to give people tips on how to research that stuff, what would you recommend?
Well, like we were talking about a little bit earlier. So research in the blockchain, it's tough to do because there's a lot of bullshit out there. You got to look at all sources, not only mainstream, but what I recommend to a lot of people is look at the sites that people talk shit about, like 4chan, Reddit. That's where you're going to find some of the best information regarding it, because those investors hanging out on those sites are the ones that invested in Bitcoin in 2012 and 2013.
Yeah,
so they have been around the space for years.
Yeah, and to add to that too, one of the things that I think is really important, and it might be a bit boring, so for the people who don't want to read the whole thing, you click into the white paper, and if you're not a reader, and sometimes they're really technical, you scroll to the bottom very fast. And what you can do is you can look at all the partners, you can look at all the connections, and then you start to research those names and understand how far that takes you. And then you can go into something like Telegram, because the reason why I suggest that, as Tyler said, is you can go to the admin, and you can literally talk to people who work inside the company.
Yes.
So it's really cool you can do those things.
That is. Yeah, so we got a question that's been here for a while. Somebody bought Neo. They bought 40 Neo 3 weeks back, and they want to sell it and move all into something else. Do you think
that's a good question? That's a really good question. Tyler, you go first. I mean, you've been in it for 20 more years than me.
In my opinion, it's not the time to sell right now, because as you know, there's been a lot of these Neo events going on across the world. They did one in New York, Tokyo, Korea. So they're going after the big markets, and they are talking and getting people excited about the platform. Well, guess where their final Neo meetup event is coming up? It's in Beijing on the 23rd. So the Chinese are a very proud culture. They would not drop any news, like big news, at any of these meetups in a foreign country. They're going to be saving it for when they come home. And that's why I think on the 23rd, we're going to have something big drop. And this also comes from when I was in Tokyo, and I sat down for a few seconds with Dongfei. I asked him about a live interview, and he was like, well, I would love to do one, but there's not much to talk about right now. And I was like, oh yeah? And he's like, in about a couple of weeks to 3 weeks, we'll have something to talk about. So that's where I was like, okay.
And also, to add to that, Tyler, the compliance component as well, that's coming. There's no question that the global system for compliance is about to drop very soon in January, most likely, or February. And that's going to mean that not just all the current ICOs are going to become streamlined, and they'll become globally ready through Neo, but the ones in China will be too. There'll be an avenue or a conduit to legalize ICOs through China. Because many people think that the whole ban happened and that was a big drama, but really it was just one way in which the businesses couldn't utilize the blockchain through that particular mode of ICO. So now they're looking at how they can do that legally through this global system. When that happens, everything will change. But I just wanted to say one thing to answer that guy. who was concerned, and I get this question a lot, because at the moment, if you look at the market and you look at the price and the growth of many of the other coins, for sure, 100% understand what you're saying. You would say, oh, well, if I compare them, I'm going to make a lot more money in this, in this, fast-growing coin. But what I always say to people is, at the very end, and this is supported by CEOs, because I'm talking to a lot of them, many of these are not going to survive in the long term. And so for that reason, it's so important that you look at main chains and you take it seriously, because not only is it a very solid investment in the future, but these ones also have exponential growth still, even at the price of NEO. Like, we haven't even seen what NEO can do, because it's just at the beginning of its ability to support a change in business.
And these companies, especially like after my conversation with Daniel yesterday of Loopring, that a lot of them, NEO's the documentation's so new, is they're just starting to understand its capabilities. And even if they don't fully understand the whole platform, but they're excited about the things they do know. Yeah. I mean, come on, there's a lot more under the stuff than we even realize.
And the thing as well with the protocol, that the secret also, this is another tip, Randall, for your viewers, is look at the protocol. The protocol gives away so much. If you look at the first generation, it's the POW model. And when you're talking about business, POW won't work. It just won't. It just a standalone protocol, it doesn't. But when you realize that NEO was built upon essentially a business protocol, because the way it's designed, it gives you a lot of indications of where the blockchain was moving very early on. And that is a business framework. It was moving across to enterprise really fast. And that's why, like Tyler made some great questions for the quiz, you'll often see enterprise protocols match things like NEO with their Byzantine protocols. And that's because it's about business. It's about money.
Yep.
Yeah, so I agree with you guys completely that NEO is going to shoot up in the future in terms of price. A lot of people want to know like what December, January price predictions for NEO. Obviously, because we know all these things, because we have crystal balls and they tell us exactly what the price is going to be.
Tyler, you go.
I've made this actually prediction like 2 months ago, 3 months ago. I said that NEO was going to hit 100 by the end of the year. And I still hold that. I think that news on January is going to, if there is news, which I think there is, I've done my research, I've talked to the people, it's going to pump the price up. In my opinion, depending on the news, it'll pump it probably up to 120 to 140, and then we'll see a correction back down to 90 to 110.
Yeah, and I mean, I like the way that Tyler estimates these. I agree with him, and I think the main thing to remember is because of the speed of the market, you just got to think of one direction, and that's up. That's all that really matters, is that you're investing and it's moving. Honestly, it's longitudinal. It's future driven. So we three don't think about it in months. We think about it in years.
Okay, so they just clarified it was December 2018, a year from now.
Right. Oh, that's interesting.
Oof.
Well, again,
let's see.
It's an interesting question because compliance is the imperative. If compliance does what we think it will do, it'll be significant. It really will be.
I think it could 20x in a year, easily.
No.
You don't think?
It could be, but no, I don't think that much. Not for the first year, because it's going to take a while to establish. But I do think in the future, yes, in very short time. Tyler and I were talking about this recently. Is that let's just think of it in thousands, in a few years. That's the main thing to remember. It's going to be a very, very, very valuable investment.
And it's the passive incomer's wet dream. You hold NEO, you get gas, you sell the gas, buy more NEO, you get more gas.
Yes.
Exactly. It's a self-reinforcing loop.
Yes, and to add to that, with the SEC and all of the concerns with the security, I get a lot of questions about Coinbase. The thing is with that is that they're still out, the jury's out with that, and the likelihood of them still deciding that it's not necessarily a commonplace security is possible. In that, I don't want to generate hype, but it's possible that they could reconceptualize the whole way in which they look at NEO as a unique structure. And you can do that in comparison to Ethereum. There's many arguments for it to potentially be on Coinbase. It could be. I'm not saying it's going to be, but I think it could be.
Definitely. So guys, the past couple days, Verge pumped a whole bunch because of the Wraith protocol, which is basically just connecting private and public blockchains or ledgers. Now NEO already has that with NEOX, right?
Right, exactly. And it's freaking amazing. Tyler, you talk about your shit with that.
Sorry, guys, I wasn't paying attention. I'm trying to get my live stream all 100% going. My viewers.
I'll take that one. I'll take it first.
Sorry. My viewers are like, Tyler, get it fucking fixed.
Yeah, well, basically with Neo X.
It's good now, though. We're good now.
Yeah, well, we're talking about Neo X, bro.
Okay.
Neo X is an interoperable, to make it really simple, it's a bridge. It's a bridge between private and public. And the reason why this is really important is because if you own Neo, it opens up your investment right through into the enterprise market in China first. And that is $1 trillion friggin' market. It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
And it's the only way, because it's a public blockchain mechanism that streams from that public blockchain straight into the private sector. And because the way that the whole architecture of NEO is designed through its tripartite entity of ontology and of on-chain, there's no other option for it but to be valuable through NEO, because there's no, as Tyler knows, there's no private counterpart for that.
Yeah.
It's all directly streamed through. So Neo X is the shit, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Neo X is going to be the shit, and once it's actually implemented, and I mean, I think Dahongfei and them are working very, very hard. That's why they haven't been marketing as much. They know it's important to market or they're going to fall behind, but they are tech guys. They want to make sure their tech is beautiful. That's why they spent 22 months building the DBFT protocol behind it.
Exactly. And they also, to add to that too, and this is really important, is you've got to have a really good virtual machine. If you don't have a really strong virtual machine, you can't really be efficient at the level that we're moving to. And that's the other thing too, is with the TPS, the speed currently we're moving to is towards the 10,000 on-chain. But the real power is actually not there. And this is the thing Tyler and I have been looking at, is at the very least we'll speculate this, and we'll say that NEO will use a technology that will make them much more scalable than 10,000. We know that. We don't know exactly how, but there's certainly, there's indicators already thinking in the right direction, very strongly.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking NEO is being left behind because of Ethereum, think again, because that's just not going to happen.
Mm-hmm. I got a troll on my chat right now. He said real used cryptos are Electronium, Verge, and Monero. Electronium, I'm sorry, it's now.
Never. Gosh, not Electronium. My
Verge
God.
and Monero, now those two, but I don't know where he came up with. He just must have invested in the ICO.
Oh yeah, he got suckered into that. Yeah.
And that's the thing I always say, is that there really are three types of investment. There's the original SOV, which is nothing wrong with that for people who like the store of value. But for me personally, I like business-oriented investments. So again, if you buy something that has the potential to support many other businesses as like the brain of a body, I mean, come on. That guy, Monero, compared to a brain that can support an infinite number of potentially of businesses in the future, it's like oranges and apples. It's just a different conversation.
Oh yeah.
So a viewer of mine said Ethereum is about to get smoked like a crack pipe.
That's true.
Well, again, it comes back to the protocol in that, we know it's the generation 2. So when you're 2 and you got something that's 3.
Dude, did either of you guys try CryptoKitties? That was like the last straw with Ethereum. I did an episode about CryptoKitties. And it was so slow waiting for everything on Ethereum. Like, I can't even imagine how kids wait for that stuff.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, no. The DApps can't run functionally on top of Ethereum with their transaction times. And it's just...
And really, like, their last prayer is Raiden, but if that doesn't help them, or maybe...
Well, see, that's what's so powerful about NEO, is that right now, because of all of the pressure it put on the system on-chain, what's so cool is that NEO's benefiting from that struggle that they had. Because until Raiden comes along, NEO is coming forward as a force. Mm-hmm. Because it can cope with things like that. Wouldn't you agree, Tyler? Like, they are ready to take over. They're just getting primed to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other thing to remember as well, because obviously we speak on behalf of blockchain, it's not just NEO. There are other really important blockchains to pay attention to, especially in Asia, because Asia, when you look at it per capita, they have the biggest market, the biggest interest per capita as well. And they also have some of the best technology. And then there's one more thing on top of that. When you arrive in Asia, you are suddenly, as Tyler's even said, I read some of your comments on Facebook, and you suddenly arrive into a technological space, like a really true, like blockchain ready environment. And that's the big difference, That's a huge benefit for places like, for NEO, because it's ripe and ready.
It's ripe and ready. So one of my viewers, he asked a question. I'm sorry, it's a pretty personal one. He wants to know about the backgrounds of all of us, just to get an understanding of what we've done before. So, anyone want to start?
Yeah, I'll go. I barely, let's see, I didn't graduate high school. I almost failed out of college studying physics. Then I was a computer programmer for NASA for a little bit. I quit and moved to France. I then became a veterinarian, and then now I do this.
Wow, that's a pretty freaking awesome story.
Well, mine's not as impressive. I did 4 unis. I went to 4 different universities, and I did like uni for fun. And then after I finished uni, I did law. Actually, it was my main thing. I wanted to be a lawyer, international lawyer. And after I did law, I decided to be a teacher because my wife's a teacher, and we get awesome freaking holidays. So, and I got 3 kids. So, at the end of the day, I wanted an easy life, a happy life. I never dreamed this would happen to me. Never in my wildest dreams. I'm just so grateful that I had the privilege, and for people to even listen to, it's like, wow, I have to pinch myself. But yeah, I think I'm a really simple dude. Like, I came from a really rough sort of part of Australia, really poor, and but poor or happy. So that's my
poor but happy, yeah. Well, mine is kind of similar to like Brad's. I'm from California, and everyone thinks, oh, beaches and everything. No, I'm from deep north California. We're a bunch of rednecks. I'm surrounded by farmland, cows and stuff, and I'm 3 hours away from the ocean. So,
oh yeah, that's another thing. I have to tell you this, Tyler, because the painting in the background, you'll laugh. This is the blonde, in me. I thought when Randall said background, we had to talk about our background. So I thought I was going to be talking about the painting. I literally thought that.
So this is a green screen.
Yeah, that's what I was going to talk about. I was like, oh shit, what am I going to say? But the beach is just down there. I literally live near the beach, so that's cool.
So after my background goes into I went to school for business. I got my regular bachelor's degree. Did the whole kind of crap, and that's when I first heard about Bitcoin. Was when I first started, or towards the end of my bachelor's degree. I graduated in 2012, and then I first invested in Bitcoin in late 2013. I heard about it for about a year when it was like $15 was the first time, and then first time I invested was around 200.
And to add to you, Tyler, I really want to say this on behalf of us all, is that's also why I followed both Crypto Love and Tyler, because they have really good credentials. They understand. And if you follow somebody who doesn't, truly, I'm not going to say names, you know them, but if you follow people who just pump, then it's a huge risk for you. What you're better off doing is really following someone who is bothering to research. And also, one thing Tyler says, and it's awesome, he puts his money where his mouth is for his own investment. And if you're following somebody, you might as well follow someone who's doing that and not just pumping for you, to go and risk your money. So Tyler, it's awesome you do that. I really, really commend you for that.
Yeah, thank you. Well, after my bachelor's, I went to go get my MBA, and it was expensive, so I became a hustler and bustler. This is more personal about myself. If anyone who says they got into Bitcoin back then because of just the technology or anything is a bullshit liar.
I told my brother that.
I heard of the dark nets, and I wanted to see what that was all about. So I did that to get through my schooling. I paid for my MBA with crypto money. And then after, I basically kept researching, kept investing. The crypto markets after the Mt. Gox crash were pretty not exciting like they are now. It was pretty much just like this. And then probably 8 months ago, when Bitcoin started really pumping again, I got serious again, and I started doing my research, and I found about ant shares and threw all my money that I had in Bitcoin and fiat into it, like a full risk. Like going to sleep that night was so scary. Like I was like, oh my God, did I just invest in something that's going to go down?
And that's so important you said that, because people often talk about the price of NEO now, but the real value of following someone like Tyler is that you can learn of companies like NEO in the beginning. That's where the real power is of research, is that it's the beginning prices, the exponential growth.
All of us are very, very in tune with the crypto market. Like, we all make some of the best calls I've ever seen. And that's due to because our experience. I mean, Brad, you're probably the best researcher I've ever seen.
No.
No, yes.
Well, well, thank you. But you know what's really funny is that I didn't even know what Bitcoin was. You know, if you take me back to even June, and I was just really lucky. One day I was sitting down and I saw a Bitcoin documentary, and I guess the end of my story is I took leave from my job the day I watched that documentary.
Wow.
I literally did, because I knew.
I knew what was up.
Yeah, well, actually, that day I actually found your channel, and I went straight from Bitcoin to blockchain within hours, and I never looked back, and I never will, ever, because if you look back into just a Bitcoin, you miss the whole blockchain, you miss the whole point.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the more research you do, the more you are in tune with what's happening in the crypto market, the better you're going to be. So, like I tell people, and what you said, Crypto Love, don't, watch one YouTube video. Watch the YouTube video and then go do the goddamn research.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we were talking earlier. We were talking earlier about how basically, like, the easiest way, just coming from someone who makes YouTube videos, the easiest way for me to get views is to make a video about whatever coin is pumping at the moment. If I do that, automatically it's going to get the most views, period. But that's the absolute worst time for anyone to buy that coin, because it's at all-time highs. It's been riding up all over. So, like, in doing your research, yeah, it's great to hear about that coin, but you want to be doing the research to find the coins when nobody's talking about them.
Yeah, and the other thing too, and Tyler would know this because of my style, I don't have the same skill set you guys have, is that research is not sexy. It's really not for the average viewer, so that's why they don't watch it. That's why my channel is like little blockchain Brad. But the truth is that if you can find someone that can do like a balance and make it entertaining like Tyler and you do, honestly, Rendell, that's the gold, because you nuance it all with qualified information, and that's why it's so important that I support you guys 100%, because you don't just talk shit. You actually talk qualified information that people can benefit from. I love that.
Yeah, a couple questions for you guys from my subscribers is a couple ICOs. So Red Pulse and also Icon. They want to know your guys' opinion on that.
Hey, it's funny. My viewers are going crazy about the same things.
There's lots of reasons why. Red Pulse is amazing. There's even better ones, but guys, if you like Red Pulse, look at Apex. You are insane not to. They are partners. Apex has some of the best partners you'll ever see anywhere in the world, anytime. I mean, we're talking Microsoft, we're talking Amazon, we're talking, Tyler knows. Like, go and see Apex. Jimmy Hu, he's on the Forbes list. He's the CEO. I talked to him the other day. I talk to him actually almost every day anyway. And holy shit, if you like Red Pulse, look at Apex. Seriously.
Yeah, no, I agree. Apex is very in tune. Like, with the Red Pulse ICO, it went down as probably the best ICO in history, even though they missed their timing a little bit. It went off without a hitch, you guys. And that's beautiful. So Apex is learning from Red Pulse how to perform a perfect ICO. So, I mean, having them so closely tied together is going to be massive.
And the other thing to remember too, not only have they got a partnership, but they have real world partnerships as well. So what I mean is, I'll give you an example. With Apex, there's a company called ChinaPex, which is essentially a real world company now. It has over 400 million people related to that company. So when you factor in that they exist now, and then you have a blockchain project, they're no longer a project. They are actually a business that's viable. And so that's why NEO is another reason why I looked at it so strongly. It wasn't just the protocol, it wasn't just the tech. It was the premise that NEO require for any of the frontline dApps to have a real world connection. I'll give you another example, and this will blow your mind. The key is, I just talked to Catherine, who's extremely hard to get as a CEO. She's like, I was the first one to ever interview her via Skype, because she doesn't normally do it. But when you listen to this woman, she is the businesswoman of the year for 2017 in China. And you think about that alone, that's amazing. But she has spearheaded a project where it's reached 66 cities. 66
That's
cities.
amazing.
It's reached hundreds of millions of people already. This is not later in the blockchain. This is in the key. And she told me that by 2020, they expect 90% of China to be reached, or there's enough Chinese cities. So if you think about that, and you think about that you could own part of that with the key, holy friggin' shit. Simple.
Yeah.
That's where research is valuable.
What's the key that you're talking about?
Livestream when the key presenter was...
Yeah, I watched a bit of it.
Oh,
awesome.
it was so funny.
Actually, I couldn't stop laughing.
Me is me, you.
Yeah, I am you and you are something else. I had to go to the toilet a few times. I was laughing that hard. I was like, "What? This is hilarious." But underneath that was funny. But honestly, underneath that comical presentation is something that is phenomenal. It truly is. I mean, it's at the level of Elastis. It's the level. It's just it's impressive in every way.
There's a reason they call it the key. It's the key to the success.
Key like KEY.
Yeah.
Like it's all one word. So if you research it, you make sure you don't put a gap in it. And if we want to talk about it just really briefly, it's just about identity. So it's about the way Catherine explained it in a simple sort of terms. So say Tyler needs to go to the hospital, or Randall, or me. What we can do is we can rock up, and normally right now, especially in America, because your system's so wrecked with the the hospital system, you can rock up and you'll need to fill out forms, and the doctor will need to do their sort of checks. With one of the benefits of the key is that you'll rock up and you don't need anything. You don't even need your phone. You will be able to be identified just as you, physically.
Biometric data.
Yeah, the BDMI. That's incredible.
Is that gonna conflict with ontology?
No, not at all. And actually, they work together. So the key works within the trust system, because ontology is not a blockchain, and that's what people don't understand. Ontology is a full network. It's like, if you think of it like all the nodes in your brain, it interconnects. That's what it does, and it does it incredibly well. And a key will operate inside that mechanism, and it will provide trust. But it's amazing. It really is. Ontology is something that's never been done before in history in any blockchain, and because it's also part of an entity that is the NEO network, it's worth looking into. Honestly, people often shy away from things they don't understand, but you can't do that in this business. You have to go deeper and try.
When I first invested in AntShares, I read the white paper and I was like, huh? Yeah. And it was hard for me to understand. I was like, huh? But something within inside me, I was like, fucking do it, Tyler. Throw all your money in, do it. And I did it, and holy crap.
Yeah, because some of the white papers you have to read multiple times until you understand what they're trying to say. Like, some of them are really easy, but some are not.
I want to show viewers, of everyone's viewers, Ledger, get one if you hold some NEO.
Yeah.
Tyler was mentioning that if you hold your NEO on a ledger, you do get NEO gas.
Yes, you can automatically claim it so you hook it up to your computer, and you can automatically claim it through the Neon wallet. And it never, like the Neon wallet currently, you have to put in your private key to unlock the wallet. Then it never shows your private key on the computer. The private key is always inside this ledger. It will never ever go on this.
Yeah.
And if you lose it, you can always get a new ledger, because it's, as Tyler's explained to me, is that it's not specific to that hardware. And the other thing, yeah, exactly. And that's
if
so
you
cool.
have the 24 word, or you can even make it more, I think, then you can recover it from any ledger device if you have your PIN code, the 24 seed words, and you sign the transaction.
And just on that note too, if you do happen to own one and you've got a substantial amount of crypto in there, don't leave it at home. Just don't. Just don't. Put it somewhere safe, like a safety deposit box or something. Be organized.
Guys, I have a very paranoid friend, and this is what he did with it that I think works very well. So he loaded all of his valuables onto it, all right? And then he completely obfuscated the 24-word key. He made it like 60-some words to where only he would be able to know the 24 actual words. And then he destroyed the ledger, because you can recover. You can just buy another ledger at another time. He's just investing now and holding the money. So he destroyed the ledger so he can recover it with that 24-word key. And he just mailed that to a whole bunch of places, to some family members, to wherever. It's in a bunch of places, but it's like 60 words, so only he could figure out. So he's completely just safeguarded himself there. You don't need to go to that extreme, but it's kind of like, figure out what to do in the middle.
You say hello?
Hey,
hello.
Look at who it is, Julia.
Julia's here and she's got a crypto koala. She wanted to say hello, so
Woo.
hello everybody.
What's up?
I'll talk to you later. They all wanted to be in the video. They're all going to be in the video at different stages. Off you go. Come on, Cheeky. Yeah, so I agree.
She's like, hey.
My kids want to be a star. I'm a lead, honestly.
She's about to be a Neo star soon.
Yeah, right?
She will be. Off you go. Go on, Chicky. Yeah, I've also got another daughter who wanted to come on today and talk about ontology, but we're going to do that later.
Okay.
Yeah, no, Michael Stack, actually my one of my viewers, he has a good little point. He said, don't keep your sheet of paper with the ledger at your house with you. Keep it in multiple spots, because if your house burns down, guess what?
There it goes.
There it goes. It's done.
Yep.
Yeah. And the other thing too is some people argue and say, oh, look, I'm nervous about putting it on the hardware. Well, just think of Mt. Gox and think about that each time people think of that, because I'd rather do that than have it risked all on your exchanges. It's not a prudent thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that probably in a few years something will be worked out with all this identity information to where you'll be able to have it
100%.
stored decentralized and have it connected with your virtual identity. But for the time being, Ledger's one of the safest ways to do it.
Even the way we buy, internationally through the exchanges too, Randall, it'll get so much easier. It's such a hassle even now, the way we have to do it, but it'll get much more streamlined, won't it, Tyler? Just be able to go token to token. Loopring's going to help that.
Okay, so one of my viewers asked, any news on the NEX exchange from City of Zion?
Yeah, well, you know some stuff about that.
Well, yeah, I mean, the City of Zion, of course, they're working their asses off to get it done, because decentralized exchanges are going to be huge. There's so many getting worked on. Everyone knows OX. Yamoto has their barter DEX. There's multiple, and there's only going to be more. So NEX has chosen the right path to go by working with Loopring. They're going to be using the ring matching technology that Loopring has designed.
Yeah,
so NEX they're on the path to success. NEX, as you guys know, they also helped get this done. The City of Zion, they helped get Ledger on the Neo. They're a hardworking group of people, and I would say they might get the fully functioning NEP5 decentralized exchange working within the next 6 months.
Yes, and the other thing to remember as well is a lot of people forget this really important part of NEX is that they aren't just an exchange, they are to do with money. They are specifically looking into finance as well. Yes. So they're going to support that. And when you factor that in, you'll understand that it's not, your typical exchange, it's not your typical decentralized, facility. It's also going to mean that you can transact and have a payment rail. So it's amazing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love the City of Zion for what they've done for the Neo community. It's massive. In my opinion, that's why I like Neo so much. There's nothing like it in any other cryptos. There's no other crypto doing what Neo's doing right now.
None. And also, Hongfei said in Thailand, he believed, which was interesting, he thought that the decentralized exchanges were going to be the next wave. He talked about how the ICOs were one. I personally feel that both of them are relevant, especially given compliance. Guys, honestly, compliance is the absolute shit of the next 2 months. It's going to be awesome. So if I had a beer, I would have it, but I didn't organize that. So I got my coffee. Cheers to compliance, because that's going to change everything.
Ooh, I got to say this question. I'm sorry. Have you guys ever had interaction with the Philion and the team? Bots? I have. I hate them. I seen him in San Francisco. One of their freaking, I don't know, he was part of the team. He was all about it. It was probably like 2 months ago, a month and a half ago, and he was like all about Aphelion, telling me like, oh yeah, blah blah, invest. And then I was like, oh, I'm a crypto YouTuber, like, you want to get on my channel? And right when I said that, he goes, nope. And he like avoids me the whole time, and I'm like, scam.
Well, for me, my answer to that is really simple. Market sentiment's really important. So obviously you can see from Tyler, there's sentiment everywhere. And so for me, I don't understand enough about it. I haven't invested my time in it. I've been busy with a lot of really good quality things that I look at. Not saying it's not quality, I don't know. But yeah, what I will say is the sentiment suggests that there's a lot of people against it. And that is really relevant in crypto space. Again, it needs a lot more investigation.
I look into like little things like that, like him being weird about that. And then also there was an interview with Crypto Lark where they interviewed like the main founder guy, and you should have seen the guy's house. It was freaking, he had mantle freaking oak behind him. It was like, dude, this guy is out here to take some people's money. That's all he's there for.
Yep.
The other thing too to remember, I think is really relevant, is how much do you see them like engaging as they progress from the outset? And I personally haven't seen any of that. I don't know why, but I haven't. Maybe it's because I just don't look there. But yeah, it's the only one of the primary dApps, and this is ironic because they are on the NEO dApps, you know, list. They're on there, and you can see them on their website. But the thing is, I just haven't invested time into it, and we could all be wrong. It could be something that really is just hiding and evolves, and it makes sense later.
Yeah, I hope I'm wrong, because I mean, I some of my viewers have invested, which is
yeah. And again, we have to always look back to the premise of NEO and what they stand for, and that's why I won't comment negatively yet, because firstly I haven't done the homework on it. But secondly, it's because their reputation is so strong that there must be reasons I would argue that, you know, they considered it at the very least. And when I did look into it a little bit, I noticed that they had a bit of direct real world context in some other websites and companies in America particularly. So Tyler's right, you know, there's every reason why it's on the back burner and why people are focused on other projects, but always remember your premise with NEO, because they stand for quality.
Definitely. Yo, so guys, one question that we didn't address was Icon. We were talking about ICOs.
Amazing. Holy shit.
So Icon pumped huge today.
Yes, Icon. Me and Brad are probably one of the first to promote Icon. I talked about
it's up to $3 right now, just so you know.
Well, I bought it for 11 cents because I loved it.
Amazing.
Icon is one of my hidden. I mean, in the stage it is right now, it's in an ant-share stage. People don't really I mean, there are investors, but they're early investors. But give it 6 months, 7 months, and you literally could see Icon above $50.
Because of its capital in the middle, the thing I want to say about it is, again, it comes down to the tech, but it also comes down to the interconnections with the government. And Tyler knows this because he actually interviewed and got this information out, but he and I knew this well before. Icon is explicitly connected to the government, unlike NEO, where they can't talk about it like that. Icon have done it openly, and they've made it clear that they have, not only do they have direct and very exclusive connections to the government, but they also have things like connections with several universities. We're talking 10 universities, we're talking 10 hospitals, we're talking enterprise on steroids. This company is very large, and this is what is really the kicker. They own an exchange called Coin One. They actually own it.
Wow.
And for a company like that to have that coupled with two other things, they have their own permissioned blockchain system called the Loop, which is amazing because that's the same sort of thing as on-chain in its design. It's incredible. You know, a list goes on and on. They also are interoperable.
Devil's advocate here. I'm a huge fan of Icon, of course, but I didn't know that like they owned Coin One. What if there's some insider stuff that goes on that exchange?
Absolutely, but the thing is,
their biggest exchange right now is Binance.
Yes,
Binance is doing 90 million of their volume.
Yeah, and if you research Binance, actually what's interesting is that you'll find some really, really big connections with Binance. You really will. But I think the thing to remember
Binance are hugely in talks with each other.
Yes, very much so. If you watch our videos that Tyler and I have done a looping, you'll see that. But if you go a step back a bit, let's focus on South Korea, because that's where I want to talk about with Icon, is that there are three main exchanges, and Coin One is number 3. When you think about the number of people who use cryptocurrency and exchange it in South Korea, one of the hottest markets on the planet, and I agree with Tyler, it sets up a really bad precedent if you could manipulate, if you can control exchange. But think of it another way. Think of it like if you own ICX. Just the sheer power of that. If you are invested in that company, I'd rather be on the inside than the outside, let's say that. Because you've never seen it. You've never seen this before. I've never. And the other thing to remember as well, there's another company called Daily. Daily, I'll give you, just again to make it clearer. NEO was backed by a company called Fosun through on-chain, and it was a really big company, $1 billion company.
Fosun Capital.
Yeah, what's interesting about ICX though is that Daily is its own company. They actually set up their own Fosun, and they invested in themselves through generating capital. So they have done things that really no one's seen. And then one more thing they've done on top of that is they've made an interoperable protocol. And they've joined up with OneChain, they've joined up with Aeon. We are talking in countries, we're talking South Korea, we're talking Canada, led by the Tapscots or advised by them as well. And then we're talking about China because of OneChain. When you see those kind of alliances, there's two things going on. They're doing that because they're trying to keep up, but they're also trying to surpass the other systems. NEO will still be fine. NEO is the shit when it comes to China. But ICX is going up.
Yeah, I agree. They're going to be very dominant in their region, and there's only going to be expansion. One thing I didn't, and even you said this about Tim, their CEO.
Yep.
Was when he talked about marketing. I asked him the marketing question, and he was like, yeah, he was like, we're not really focused on that. And I was like, oh, come on, man, that's 50% of it.
I know, and that's where we come in. People like us, I mean, that just has to change. It's ridiculous to think that you can just be tech. You can't, and that's why companies exist as conduits, and that's why people like us are trying to bring it to the fore, because essentially we want to help people. We want to help you guys, and we want to help ourselves as well. And it's all about getting early, doing your research, but then just getting that message out. If these companies think that they're going to survive without connecting with, very experienced marketing teams, they're crazy. And I don't think Min thinks that, but he's underestimating the power of us and the power of marketing itself in the West.
And just look at the most successful businesses today, like Amazon, like Google, like Facebook, like YouTube. They allow other things to work on top of their platforms that allow other businesses to work on top of them, and that's why they're so successful.
Yes, exactly.
They create the base layer, and then guess what? An expansion. Yeah. And that's what's beautiful about, like, you talk about NEO and Loopring, they're creating base layers.
Yeah, and also what they're doing, and this is what blows my mind every day, is that we're talking about the transition from centralization to decentralization. So at the very fundamental, bottom bedrock of the foundation, you have NEO and things like this, because they are the premise for, or the language of the translation. So everything that built on top of that, every component of the house that's built, every piece of wood and every brick, that's not what NEO is. NEO is that bedrock underneath, and it's an infinite building that they can construct. They can support an infinite number of dApps as the technology builds. I'd rather be invested in that cement at the bottom.
I agree 100%. I mean, you want the cement, you don't want the top. That's why exactly when talking with Daniel of Loopring, when he was explaining, like, we're going to create an open source layer. Like, if someone wants to use the Loopring wallet, they can copy it and use it. We can give a shit less. What we're focusing on is this right here.
Yeah, exactly. And the liquidity that it provides, as you know, Tyler. What is amazing with Loopring is that they are going to smash Kyber and OX.
Oh, God, you guys have no idea.
Because of what they can do with their ability to interact with more than two people. It's amazing what they can do. They have this multi-party ability. Tell them, Tyler,
So you have with Kyber and OX basically atomic swaps that happen. They happen one-to-one. And there's limitations to that. With Loopring, they use game theory with their nodes. They're decentralized, they call them relay nodes. And basically, it's pretty freaking cool. The nodes will use game theory to make the best trade for each of the nodes, and they will match each. They'll do 1-to-1, they'll do 2-to-2, all the way up to 10-to-10 in a ring. And
and that's what sets
it does it the fastest, because guess what? They're doing it. Those nodes are doing it out of game theory, and game theory will always choose.
And also on top of that, they're the only one in the world, and they're the first in the world to do that technology. So Daniel Wang said himself, initially OX was, the protocol of choice. And this is the other thing to remember. People do not get this. Loopring is not a cross-chain protocol. It is not like that, and it's certainly not, your typical dApp. It is a protocol designed to be agnostic. So when you're talking about agnostic, they could choose Ethereum, but they chose Ethereum as the experiment. And as Daniel Wang said, he still argues that Ethereum has its place, and it's a valuable, and certainly in the West, it's a very valuable blockchain right now. Mm-hmm. But wouldn't you hypothetically still use something like that as an experiment to see how it's going to go if you're going to transition to something like NEO? Of course. Yeah. And they're going to always choose the best blockchains after they experiment. And they've just proven they've done that. And they're going to choose a few others too. They're going to choose 5 to 10.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, a couple things. One, boom shakalaka, guys. I'm getting a whole bunch of people requesting me to say that.
Boom shakalaka.
Second, for all you new people out there, stay away from Electronium. Overhyped, underdelivered.
Yes, Electronium is
someone on my channel is trying to sell people Electronium. Yeah.
No, complete and utter crap. One of my friends invested in the ICO and he still can't access his coins.
Yeah.
It sounds like shit like BitConnect. Both of them are crap.
Yeah, it's worthless. So stay away from that. Yeah.
Loopring price predictions. Here we go. Any Loopring price predictions for the next 2 months?
Up. Like, up.
Yeah, way up.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I love the price right now because the potential for exponential growth is there. And it really, you know this, Tyler, is that's what we love, is that we can literally see Loopring triple, within a week. It's amazing, the expediency of this. And you don't have to wait. And that's the other thing to remember is NEO, you would argue, doesn't triple, doesn't double rapidly. Mm-hmm. But then you can couple that with some investments in Loopring. Why would you let go of NEO? Why not just build up your stack with other things that can support your investment? Because again, it's just building the house. It's just building that foundation. Massive good growth potential. Yeah, what are you thinking in terms of, times what? Times 3, times what?
It depends on everything that happens. I mean, they have a good roadmap. They've told everyone they're going to release their start contract, wallet, and everything within Ethereum. And if it works so good and decentralized exchanges start using it, because as we know, crypto's moving so fast right now, I bet you within the next 6 months, we're going to have 6 more decentralized exchanges on Ethereum.
I agree. I'll say this confidently, really confidently, just ICX and just Loopring alone. If you just own those two, forgetting about my direct connection with NEO, just those two in the next, couple of months, it's going to make you a substantial amount of money.
Yo, and
that's
also,
not financial advice, by the way.
Yeah, not financial advice. Everybody should know that. But Loopring right now is completely off the radar because it's ranked 120th on the exchanges, or 120th on CoinMarketCap, and most stuff off the first page doesn't get much attention. Completely off the radar for people. Very few people are talking about it. This is the type of stuff you guys should be listening to, not the stuff when Tron's pumping 1 million. I mean, Tron's a good one, but when it's pumping, hundreds of % in a day, that's not the time to buy that. Loopring,
yeah. I mean, things like Bancor and Augur, but particularly with Bancor and with Loopring, they are very important protocols, both of them, and they are utilized by many different main chains. So, I totally agree with you, Randall. When you go to that 100 number, you want to find some of those magic businesses. There's 2, Bancor and Loopring. Mm-hmm. There's just 2.
Guys, and if you're new, if you're looking for stuff, these are like the gems. I know we don't give financial advice, but these are like the gems. Tyler and Brad are 2 of the smartest researchers I've ever met in terms of cryptos, and these are like the gems. All right, I'm not saying BitConnect, I'm not saying Electronium, I'm not saying Deep Onion, all those freaking hype coins. We're talking about real projects that are going to make real money for real people, and these are them.
Yeah, and another thing I got to say about those is you just got to look at what are the partnerships that those other companies are making. What are they doing? Are they building an actual protocol? I mean, when you look at Loopring, it's going to be used literally every decentralized exchange is going to be using Loopring's protocol.
Yes, because and the other thing too to support Tyler is that if you're someone who's not that confident to sort of rely on one main chain as an investment, follow us a little bit because and jump on our channels. Go to Twitter. There's so much research we put out there, but the thing to remember, if you want to play it safe, go with something that's agnostic, because they're hedging their bets and they're going to be applicable to many different main chains. Loopring is that. Bancor is that. So they aren't just one main chain. They can really support your initial, entry point into the space. Again, not financial advice from us, but we just sometimes, you just go with some people who've done it and done the research.
I feel like we're parrots all the time saying, not a financial advice, I'm not telling you what to do with your money.
Well, we have to.
Yeah, we do, unfortunately. But, I mean, the thing is, how the laws are written right now, it's not illegal for people like us to trade.
Yeah.
Also,
in the US too.
Also, one more thing for everyone watching out there. Wabi is another hype coin, like Electroneum, like Deep Onion, like all those other crap coins. It's not doing anything. They're spamming everything. So that's what Wabi is. I got a ton of people commenting about that now too.
Well, actually, just to help those guys out with Wabi or any of them, one of the best things you can do when you first start out is go to a site like ICO Drops, because you want really ease of access and you want information that's pretty clear. And if you go to that website, it's awesome. It gives you a very quick insight into a whole range of ICOs. And if you're averse to ICOs, you don't understand the market, because again, you need to start with understanding ICOs and the projects from the outset. And that platform, that website's a really good way to start.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So I got a question here from one of my guys about Raiden. Crypto fan in the house. What do you guys think about Raiden? Crypto Love and Blockchain Brad.
Dude, I think that is Ethereum's last hope. Yes. Like, I just saw Star Wars The Last Hope last night, and I think that is Ethereum's last hope. If Raiden can't pull through with them, Ethereum is done in 6 months. That's my opinion.
Yes. Well, my view is, again, it's actually changed in the last day. Tyler knows this, because I knew that I agree with you, Randall, it is the solution for scalability in every way. It's the fundamental requisite for it to survive. But this is what got me thinking. It's, again, potentially agnostic. And that's an exciting thing. And that's why the ICO.
Very exciting about Raiden.
Yes, and we didn't really think about it, because we know, I won't go into detail, but we know that NEO requires a certain degree of scalability very soon. And they are very organized. I have no doubt in my mind that they know exactly what they're doing. But again, if we move back to the agnostic investments, Raiden could be potentially an amazing investment, not because of Ethereum.
Yeah, not necessarily, because they're going to work on scaling solutions for other protocols such as freaking NEO.
Exactly. And we don't know what NEO is going to do, even with Raiden. I'm not saying that they're going to use it, but they could. Yes. They could. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's amazing. If you've got Raiden, happy days. Happy freaking days.
Happy days. And that's what I say about Raiden. Again, I think it's probably in like 80, 70 to 100 range last I looked. And that's a spot too where you pick up some freaking huge gems, especially when you think about things too. There's other cryptos out there like Gnosis, Power Ledger, Augur, like literally almost all ERC20 projects on Ethereum that require multiple transactions and speed of payment.
Yeah,
they need it. Like, if it doesn't happen, guess what? All those projects are going to fail.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So how
and just
is
to add to that
Augur
too,
and Gnosis more valuable than what's going to save their project?
Exactly. And I'm so glad you mentioned that, because that's the one thing I did want to impress upon all of you guys. You're in the market, is that with many of the Ethereum projects, you're buying hope. Really, and that's nothing wrong with that, but you are. Many of them don't have a real world connection right now, because Ethereum was premised on the idea of circumventing authority right from the outset. We know this from Vitalik and his love affair with Bitcoin. That's fine. But if you want to get down to it, I want to invest in something that has a real world connection now, and Ethereum doesn't have that track record as much. It just doesn't. It doesn't mean I don't like the projects on there. There's some amazing ones. But again, I'm going to pick the company that's got a real world context right now in some way. And NEO does that consistently every single time. And that's why I love there at dApps. And it's got nothing to do with emotion. I know I love NEO, but it's got nothing to do with that in a business frame. Because that's why I'm Blockchain Brad. I'm in blockchain. I don't really give a shit about just one specific thing. I just know what is good and I know what's bad. And NEO is the leading blockchain for those reasons.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, I mean, personally, it's one of the top 3 coins I own. All right.
Yes.
Yeah.
It should always be, in my opinion, in your portfolio. If any of your viewers are watching, it should be in your top 3 holdings. I'm not kidding you guys. Like,
I agree. And never, ever trade it.
Never, ever, ever. I mean, unless you have to, I mean, you run out of cash and you need to buy something, then okay, sell it for some Bitcoin and sell that Bitcoin for some cash.
Yeah, and that also, so we don't cop a lot of shit from everybody. It doesn't mean that you don't trade if you want to try. I'm not saying that, and Tyler's not saying that. And we're not saying don't experiment with more exponential coins that have a lot of, immediate growth potential. We're not saying that. We're saying once you get a stack of NEO from your strategies, hold that, because the entry point is just going up and up and up. It's not going to the moon tomorrow. but it's in the direction of the moon. That's the point. Is that you don't want to go and sell and then enter at a high price.
Yeah.
That's just stupid.
Yeah, so there's a question here. So if you guys had to rate in terms of importance for people who may not own any of them, in terms of NEO, Loop Ring, and Icon, which one should they buy first? Which one should they buy second? Which one should they buy third?
That's easy. That's really easy.
Yeah.
It's Icon, Loop Ring, NEO.
Say that again?
Order, because it's Icon, Icon, Loop Ring, and NEO in that order. It does not mean one is better. NEO is look at me, like I'm NEO, so trust me. NEO is the shit. But if you want to make money now, not financial advice, we're talking about immediate growth. And that's what I'm saying, is that you use the other two to buy more NEO. That's the whole point. But you buy ICX because of what it's doing. It's not going to freaking stop.
Exactly.
And
We're gonna be going through like crypto markets in the next couple months. We're gonna be going through a little bit of growing pains. So I mean, you're gonna see Bitcoin do this. I can see it for the next couple weeks. Bitcoin's just gonna do this thing where it hangs around 15 to 17, and it's gonna do that for a couple weeks. And that's gonna play games with the crypto markets. Like you're gonna see Icon go down to $1.50, $1.25. You're gonna see NEO maybe touch a little low, but the thing is, you just got to realize is once money flows in patterns within crypto. It first flows into Bitcoin because guess what? Everyone learns about Bitcoin first. And then guess what gets pumped next? Ethereum and Litecoin.
Exactly.
Those are the two you can buy off of Coinbase, which is one of the largest exchanges in the United States, where a lot of the liquidity comes from. And then guess what happens next? NEO.
Exactly.
It's always like that.
And eventually what will happen, there'll be a bifurcation principle effect, or come to effect, in that once this SOV principle splits off from business frames, you're not going to see NEO so reliant on the BTC movement. It's just that won't happen until mass adoption happens. And again, Tyler and I really all noticed that, and so have you, Randall. The rate in which we're moving towards mass adoption is significant, but because we're in 2017 moving to 2018, 2019 is the year of mass adoption, really. Really, if we're being honest, because they're nowhere near that in terms of, you could walk down the street now and say, hey, what's Bitcoin? They go like, oh, yeah, I know. But they don't friggin' know. They just know about Bitcoin. They don't even know anything about it, really.
They're like, it's that thing that people use to buy stuff on the dark web.
Well, the thing is, in my opinion, is what's going to happen is people aren't even going to know they're using the blockchain when they're using it, just like they use the internet. They don't understand how the internet works. Not the damn person does. But they use it every day in their pocket.
That's true, but the thing is, in 2020, people are going to know that blockchain somehow equals money. And that's where mass adoption happens, because they're going to know that investments related to the blockchain. They might not understand it, but that's where our value right now, and our playback of this video in 2020 will be awesome. Because, we don't need to say. It's just that the privilege right now in the pinch yourself moment is so few people really understand that it's going to be seamless, the transition. People aren't going to see it. It's not conspicuous.
Oh, yeah.
But it's investable. You can put your money into that infrastructure. And more people will come to understand that when it's too late.
Yeah. So cool, guys. We got a few more minutes left. Any things you guys want to say? Any questions you guys have?
Pull up my chat really quick. See if I'm going to answer one last question from a viewer of mine, because I haven't been paying attention to them. Why is Wabi bad? That's the question. Why is Wabi bad? Because as Randall said, there's not much behind it. It's been pumped a lot of their money for extremely effective marketing.
Yeah, right. But it's just annoying. Like, I mean, I haven't even looked into the project that much. I'll be honest, I haven't. But anytime, half of the comments on my comment wall are, "What do you think about Wabi? What's Wabi? What's Wabi?" I know that they pay people to do this stuff.
Yep.
And I don't even bother. I stay away from that stuff. I'm not going to review that stuff. I'm not going to even look at it. I don't care if it's a decent project. It's just annoying.
Yeah, and I've noticed that on a lot of my chat groups too, is Wabi, Wabi, Wabi. I'm like, dude, no.
Well, for me, I'm going to be the devil's advocate. I haven't read it, and I never talk about something I haven't read, ever, because I don't. And I will also say, I think Data Dash spoke of this briefly. So, you know, I'm going to look into it, guys, because of your comments. So I'm a bit like some of the viewers. I want to know more about Wabi and why it's crap if it is, but if it's not, we'll look into it later.
Well, if data, I'm going to read too. I haven't done my full research. I'm just going off of how many freaking people on my chat groups talk about Wabi, and I've never. And they're not viewers I know either.
No, they have these social hype groups. So they have these social hype groups on Facebook, on Telegram, on everything else. And basically what they do is they say, we're going to reward you in tokens for going and posting comments all over the place where you just get people talking about this coin. And the only reason I know about that is because I did that when I first got into crypto. All right?
Yes. Right.
So, I have no idea about the token, but just because of the spam tactics that they use, I intentionally am not going to put any attention into it.
That's an interesting point. You know, it's funny because we were talking about before the imperative of marketing, and I'm glad you mentioned that, Rendell, because if you go into overdrive and you push something so full on into this crypto space, for people like Tyler and I and you, Rendell, it's the alarm bells are going off then. Doesn't mean it's crap. Well, I'm certainly not saying that, but I can see what Rendell's saying with, a good product, especially if you think of it in a Chinese mindset, they don't push it at all. You know, but that's not good either.
Yeah, but
a good middle ground.
You've got a good point. Like, they don't push stuff at all. Like, look at Cardano. They didn't hype that at all, and it exploded. Look at the most recent one before Wabi that they hyped, Electronium, completely overhyped, under-delivered. So it's So you want to guys, in terms of investing, sure, do your research, go research it, see what you think. But really, you want to find the projects that nobody's talking about that are going to make a huge difference, like the ones we've discussed previously, like Icon, Loopring, Neo, all of those.
And there's some other tips if you want some more, just a couple. I'll throw some in. A-Chain, I've been reading a lot into that. I've read the white paper twice this week. Read it. It's amazing. It's worth the read. I'm going to talk to them on Saturday. Not a plug. I don't do that crap, but just read it. It's an amazing white paper read.
Yeah, the lines between those three is going to be huge.
And also and one chain
and Icon, it's going to be
massive. Yeah, like all three of them. Yeah, I mean, and the thing as well. I mean, would you agree with this, Tyler? Is you can almost start to get a map. If you haven't got this, guys, yet, go and buy a map of the world. And just go and get some of those little markers and stickers. And start to map out some key regions and representations from blockchain. It's amazing if you do that, because you can do that pretty much with one or two. And that reminds me, I want to just say, with Qtum or Quantum, depending on what you call it, it is definitely a force in China. So stick that into your Chinese, with your Chinese marker, because it's there right beside NEO. So start to try and map out your world of blockchain. Yeah. Because there won't be many, that, compete beyond like 2 or 3.
Yeah, I agree.
If that, I think more like 1 or 2 max per region.
Cool. So anything else you guys want to say before we wrap this up?
I just want to say I thank all of you guys, Crypto Loves Viewers, BlockchainBrad, and everyone for staying tuned. Again, you're talking with 3 of the best crypto guys in the space right now. We're going to be a force to be reckoned with, and keep watching.
Yo, and if you guys go to Singapore in February, you might see us all together.
We're going to be all together soon.
Yep, absolutely. I want to say also thank you, both of you boys. Thanks for live streaming this through the channel. Crypto Love, you organised it, so bro, thanks so much. And let's do it again. Let's do it whenever you want.
Absolutely.
And if you guys like it, thank you to the viewers as well. Without you, we're nothing. Truly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Pleasure to have you both. Thank you, everyone, for watching. You guys hang around because we're going to talk afterwards. But thanks for hanging out in the stream. All right. Peace, everybody.
See you from Australia.
See you guys.